security and how to make shared security work for you. My name is Ryan Holland. I'm a Senior Manager of Solution Architects at Amazon Web Services. And I want to give a brief overview of the webinar for today. We will have a question and answer period at the end. So as we're going through the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A tool on the GoToWebinar on your screen. Also, if you'd like a copy of today's slides, the presentation will be made available on our SlideShare channel, as well as a video recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. We'll be joined today by Jonathan Norman, who's a Cloud Solution Architect at AlertLogic, and I am, again, Ryan Holland, a Senior Manager of Solution Architects at AWS, and I'll be giving the introduction presentation and an overview of the Amazon Web Services security. And then I'll hand it over to Jonathan, who will walk us through how to access the AlertLogic Web Security Manager from the AWS Marketplace, as well as how to integrate the web application security into your web app that's running on AWS. And then again, at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A period as well. So just to get started and give the overview of how we view security here at Amazon. So we see security as a shared responsibility between AWS and our customers. And how we view that is ultimately, if you're in control of something, then you're responsible for securing that. And what that ends up meaning for customers using services like EC2 is we at AWS are responsible for securing everything all the way up to the hypervisor. So that's going to include physical security of the facilities, ensuring that the networking inside the facilities is secure, and securing everything all the way up to that virtualization environment. And at that point in time, we hand control of that virtual machine over to the customer. So here at AWS, we don't have the ability to log into any of your virtual machines or to configure any of your applications. So that is all something that's going to be the responsibility of customers to take on. One of the things that customers do get from leveraging our platform is access to the same type of security capabilities, whether you're a small company or a big company. And when you're running inside AWS, the way that we demonstrate or we make transparent to our customers how it is we're securing our infrastructure is through the use of third-party audits and attestations, as well as several different industry certifications as well. So you can see a list of some of the control environments that we maintain. So things like SOC 1, which used to be referred to as a SAS 70 report, SOC 2 reports, as well as ISO 27001 certifications, PCI service provider validations, as well as several other federal and industry certifications. And what this does for customers is it allows us to take a lot of the heavy lifting of securing physical infrastructure, securing the compute infrastructure and the networking and virtualization layers, as well as obtaining audits and certifications for all of those different components. But it is important to keep in mind that customers, you still have a role to play in securing an application when it's running on EC2. So there are still all the things that you would normally have to do in securing a operating system, making sure that your application is configured correctly and secured, or running any sort of encryption or web application firewalls and other types of security services. On top of that, you still need to make sure that you do that. And that's an area where our AWS Partner Community can really help our customers. So we have a very rich ecosystem of partners, one of which is AlertLogic, who has several great products for the EC2 infrastructure that allow customers to leverage those partner products to make it much easier for them to fulfill their part of the shared responsibility model. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jonathan at AlertLogic, who will give us an overview and describe how to deploy their web application firewall on AWS.
Cool. All right, Ryan, thanks for the intro, and yeah, thanks to AWS for hosting this webinar. Today I'm going to talk to you about web application security, but first, oh, here we are. Let me share my screen. All right, but first let me explain AlertLogic and.
Excuse me, guys. Hold on, guys. So this is what happened when Anna logged off. Ryan stopped sharing his screen. So
You
the whole time Ryan was talking, I wasn't seeing anything.
Okay. Should we go through it again?
So I'm waiting for instructions because we'll see. And then
Because
for
I
some
see
reason,
Jonathan's screen right now,
Jonathan
which
is
is
able to show his screen.
Yeah, I see Jonathan's right now.
Yeah, but yours was not visible. Jonathan, were you able to see Ryan's at all?
Honestly, I was flipping through my slides, making sure everything was in order, so I wasn't.
Right, I understand. But as soon as Anna dropped, who is the organizer, I couldn't see anything. So let me read the instructions. So basically, Ryan lost his ability to share his screen when she dropped because she enters her key numbers. Let's see. So Ryan, since you're the organizer as well, so let's do this. Anna, just basically, it's not the system is not letting Anna get in. So did you stop recording? Can you stop recording? Do not end the session, just stop recording.
Everyone for joining us today for the AWS Partner webinar with AlertLogic. Today's topic will be web application security on AWS and how to make shared security work for you. I'll be the host of the webinar. My name is Ryan Holland. I'm Senior Manager of Solution Architects at Amazon Web Services. And I want to start by giving a little bit of housekeeping items. To begin with, there will be a question and answer at the end of the presentation, so everyone's lines are on mute. So please do submit your questions in the Q&A tool of GoToWebinar. Also, if you'd like a copy of today's slides, they will be made available on the AWS SlideShare channel. And in addition, there will be a recording of this webinar made available on the AWS Webinar YouTube channel. I'm joined today by Jonathan Norman, who's a Cloud Solution Architect at AlertLogic, and I will be giving the initial start of the presentation to cover the Amazon Web Services security overview, and then I will hand it over to Jonathan, who will show us how to access the AlertLogic Web Security Manager in the AWS Marketplace and how it can be used to integrate web application security in your AWS environment. And then again at the end, we'll have a Q&A period as well. So just to get things started and go through the AWS security model, we see security as a shared responsibility between ourselves and our customers. And the way that we look at this is if you're in control of something, then you have the responsibility to keep that secure. And what this means for services like EC2 is at AWS, we're responsible for providing security for everything from physical access to the data centers themselves, all the way up to the virtualization layer. And so all of the things in between that, like the compute environment or the networking environment and the virtualization layer, are all components that are going to be our responsibility to secure at AWS. But customers certainly have a role in play in securing their applications as well. So in EC2, customers are the only ones that have access to log into their virtual machines. So AWS admins can't access your systems or configure your applications for you. So these are all areas that are customers' responsibility to secure. The way that we make it transparent to our customers of how we are going about securing our part of the shared responsibility model is generally through third-party audits and attestations. So we go through several different audits and reviews by independent third parties. We have a list of some of the control environments that we maintain. So things like SOC 1, which used to be referred to as a SAS 70, the SOC 2 report for security, as well as an ISO 27001 certification. We are a PCI DSS Level 1 validated service provider. And in addition, we have some federal government certifications as well, things like FedRAMP and FISMA Moderate. And we also maintain some certifications in certain industry verticals like the Motion Picture Association. And one of the neat benefits of running in the AWS environment is every customer gets access to all of these securities and controls, regardless of how big or how small they are. And that really helps take a lot of the heavy lifting of securing your underlying infrastructure away from the customer, and it lets us do that for them. So you can see some of the list of things that we're controlling and securing on that left-hand side. But it's important to remember that customers still have responsibility to play in securing their applications. So deploying things like operating system patches, making sure your applications are properly deployed and secured, and that you have the correct authorization policies and identity and access management set up for your system. These are all important things to do to ensure that your application is secure. And it also brings us to another key benefit of running in AWS, and that's our partner community. So we have a very vast and rich ecosystem of partners that help customers fulfill their part of the shared responsibility model by providing security solutions that are specifically designed and optimized to run on AWS. And one of those partners is AlertLogic, who has a very great and fantastic web application firewall to help customers secure their web applications in AWS. And so with that, I will hand this over to Jonathan, who will talk about the AlertLogic WAF.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ryan, and thanks to AWS for hosting this webinar. Today I'm going to talk to you about web application security, but first, let me explain AlertLogic briefly and what we do. AlertLogic was founded in 2002 and today provides security to over 2,500 customers across the globe. We were one of the first security providers to partner with AWS. We've worked very closely with them over the years to offer a range of solutions for their customers to help protect their infrastructure and applications and meet various compliance requirements that they are obligated to meet. But today we're going to discuss web application security. And the reason for that is web application attacks continue to increase year over year, and the numbers are quite staggering. According to Frost & Sullivan, 83% of all websites have at least one serious vulnerability. And with web-based attacks increasing at such a rapid rate, we've seen a large number of breaches as a result of these attacks. Web app security isn't easy either. It's as time progresses, web applications are getting more complex in nature. Development processes are becoming more iterative and faster. So securing these applications is just becoming harder and harder with time. AWS does allow you to offload much of the security responsibility, as Ryan mentioned earlier, but the security of your web applications and applications more or less at the top of the OSI model are the responsibility of their customer. And with more and more attacks moving in this direction, as shown by the previous slide, we're seeing this interesting confluence of risk for customers for web applications. And we only see the need here increasing over time. So these attacks are surprisingly simplistic. I'm going to show you a live one in the demo, but just to sort of walk through a sample SQL injection. And SQL injection is a rather old attack, but it's still quite pervasive today. We see a lot of it in the wild. In this scenario, this is a basic shopping cart application where the users will select a product category and a product type. These items effectively are translated into application input, SQL statements, more or less. But when you don't validate this input, which is easy to do, there are a lot of parameters in websites, a lot of things going on, so it's easy to make this oversight. When you fail to validate the input, it effectively gives an attacker or a malicious user the ability to, in some cases, execute commands, depending on what's enabled on the database, but also, take customer data and exfiltrate it. In this simple attack, and this, like I said, that's one example of many, has a real-world impact. And not only is data stolen, but users often see significant downtime as a result of this. This chart is from the 2013 Verizon Data Breach Report, and it shows that basically for the time from compromise to containment, and what we see here is It's often measured in weeks or months. So this isn't hours or minutes, or this is some extensive time that users are spending dealing with these compromises, dealing with downtime, trying to make sure they haven't lost customers' data, and that has a very, very high cost to users. The various compliance mandates have tried to address these by adding requirements. PCI has 6.6, which mentions web application firewalls in 6.5. SOX has their own requirements as well as in HIPAA, and we only see the requirements around this getting more stringent with time because these attacks are becoming more and more pervasive. Alert Logic has a series of products to address a lot of these gaps, and as I mentioned, we're discussing a Web Security Manager, which is effectively a WAF, and that's what we're discussing today. So how does it work? The Web Security Manager is an inline device, and it effectively validates input going to your web application and only forwards clean traffic. We accomplish this by using a combination of positive and negative security models. This means that not only signature-based detection is used for your web application, but we also learn your web app logic and adapt our engine to your web application. Many web applications are quite customized in nature. We acknowledge that, and our system works to address that need. We fully support auto-scaling in AWS and offer 24/7 management by certified security analysts. So this product was engineered for AWS. This isn't something we just simply sort of slammed into a virtual machine and said go. We built it with AWS in mind. For example, we understand that when you're auto-scaling, the role of a host is more important than, for example, the IP address. So we're IP address and topology independent. If you want to use an ELB to terminate SSL, you can do that. You can terminate SSL on our appliance. We also offer APIs and CloudFormation templates to allow you to automatically deploy and get data and automate the deployment in such a way that allows for automation and quicker deployment within AWS. So now I'm going to give you a brief demo of WSM in action, but before I do that, let me show you how we're typically deployed within AWS. So this is sort of a reference architecture. This is a common deployment that we see. Effectively, in this scenario, we have a series of web servers sitting in front of app servers, which then sit in front of a set of databases or some sort of data storage. There's an ELB in front of the web servers and also in front of the app servers to allow these devices to scale up and down as needed. And this is a very, very common configuration that we see. So when the users add Web Security Manager, we effectively sit in front of the ELB and deploy our own Elastic Load Balancer as well in front of what we call workers. Workers handle the work of analyzing the traffic and forwarding it on to the web servers. This allows us to distribute load and scale up and scale down. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have a learning engine and we learn your web application, right? This isn't just a signature-based system. And so we're able to accomplish this auto-scaling by storing the configuration and the learn data in S3. So when a new worker spins up, it doesn't have to relearn your web application. It already knows it from the previous workers. So it spins up, pulls the data from S3, and it can go right to work. All the communication with Alert Logic is handled by what we call a master server that handles communication with the workers and a slew of other sort of just daily responsibilities of keeping things clean and managed, downloading the configuration, uploading data to us, and so on. And I'll actually show the management console for this. And with that, let's go to the browser. Let's see. here we are. So, okay. So here is the Web Security Manager. Let's go to our appliances. So I spun this up before the demo, so we have like a fresh environment with a vulnerable web server. This is my appliance. Here we are. So this is effectively the management interface of that master auto recover that I've mentioned. This allows you to see what's going on that device, the configuration, the deny log, etc. You'll see that we're currently in detect mode. This means that we're only going to detect attacks and not act on them. So if I go to this is the vulnerable site. You see here that we have a list of various vulnerabilities. This directory traversal attack allows people to see and read sensitive files like etc host. And if I enable protect mode, what will happen here is that master will take the configuration file, write it to S3. Those workers are periodically checking those files and looking for new configuration updates. When it realizes that, hey, we should be in protect mode, we will start to block this traffic. That typically takes 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more, it just depends. They check in about every minute or so. But from here, you can see traffic over time. I just spun this up, so there's not a lot of data here. You can see what it's already seen, so it just sees me doing a path traversal attempt. You can see the status of the learning engine, sampling progress and verification progress. The sampling process really is all about the number of web pages and the amount of traffic we see. So we have to see a good amount of traffic per web page to have a decent sample set to have truly learned it. So if your website has a lot of traffic, we can typically learn it quite quickly. But if it's a little traffic, it takes a bit longer. The average time is about a week. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes it's a few days. It really depends. But it's rarely more than a couple of weeks. And you can see system information such as CPU, utilization memory, etc., details on the configuration, and so on. Going back to the UI, let's do this. So a given WSM can handle multiple websites. It's not just a single website. And the list of websites is here, which should come up in a moment. And actually, while that's loading, let's see if our configuration was pushed down. So if our config was pushed down, any of these attacks should result in an error because it'll be blocked by the WAF. All right, hasn't pushed down yet. So we'll give that a little bit more time. So this is a test environment, so the data is all default website.wads, but you can see here all the websites that we have up, what they're tied to, what mode they're in, and then you can manage that specific website here. If we're terminating SSL for you, you can upload your certificates here and set your reporting and activity policy. If you would like to use our API, you can get your API key from here. I'm not going to show our API key because, it's our API key, and we want to keep it sort of private, but that's where users will get their API key. All right, so let's go back to our website. We should be blocking attacks now. Let's try this one. Here we are. So there we are, 404 not found, so it's now blocking these attacks, and this website's protected. Going back to our slides. So it's nice to see this, in a presentation, but many AWS customers are quite hands-on and they want to take it for a spin. So I'm happy to say that we're currently offering a free trial, which you can access through the marketplace. It'll be available for the next month or so. So yeah, feel free to give it a try and let us know your experiences with it. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Ryan. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jonathan, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll now move into the Q&A.